Dr. Khwaja, you and Sukoon Unlimited have been associated for some time. I can't tell you what an honor it is to again be speaking to you here. For audiences from Dignity Foundation, this is a special webinar that's being arranged for the participants of Sukoon Unlimited and Dignity Foundation. And today we have Dr. Khwaja Ali from Banjara Academy. Both the Doctor and Banjara Academy are institutions among themselves. They need absolutely no introduction, but I'm going to try to do a little bit of justice. In the last 30 years, Dr. Khwaja Ali has been changing lives of multiple people one day at a time tirelessly. And he has trained over 5,000 counselors who are paying it forward with their kindness. And it is an absolute delight and honor to have him here. Today's sessions is all about having conversations that matter to all of us. And this is an interactive session. So Dr. Ali and Sukoon Unlimited team will be speaking to each other. We will be inviting the audience to participate, ask questions directly to Dr. Ali when the time is right. And with that, we will kick it off. Welcome, Dr. Ali. So nice to see you.
Yes, let me start with congratulating all of you that you are becoming or have become senior citizens in this 21st century, because the facilities, the type of open things, the way, you can reach out to people, the activities that you can do, but just not there even 20 years back. So now that you have come into this era, I would like to tell you that while physical health is significantly improving, every part of your body except the brain, of course, is replaceable today. So you will never have to worry if you're 100, 120 or whatever it is. But it is the mind that we have to look after and protect. The mind is not the brain. Firstly, let me tell you that. Brain is a simple organ, which is sitting here in my head. But mind is not an organ. Mind is what helps us to exist and to think. You remember the great philosopher who said, I think, therefore I am. So as long as you are thinking, now the question comes, how much of thinking are you doing in what direction? At the same time, before we get down to the topics which have been given, I just wanted to make you aware that the biggest epidemic of the 21st century is not cancer or heart or COVID or whatever it is. It is the epidemic of loneliness. And this hits senior citizens more than the youngsters. There are a lot of youngsters also, who have loneliness. They are on their mobiles 24/7. But deep down inside, they're not able to emote or connect. That we'll discuss some other day. Today, what I was thinking is that as your body slows down, as you become senior, maybe you are retired, so you don't have an office to go through. The domestic responsibilities have been taken over by your son, daughter-in-law, whoever it is. What is it that we need to do? Those of you who read, I would strongly recommend a book called Together. The book title is Together. It has been written by Dr. Vivek Murthy, who is the Surgeon General of the United States. When he was asked, what is the greatest pandemic, since you deal with all the illnesses and all that, what do you give most significance to? And he said, loneliness. And that's why he brought out this path-breaking book. I feel either if you're the reading type, you read it. Even if you're not the reading type, I would say become aware of this loneliness. Now, what do you do in terms of overcoming the loneliness to ensure that you lead a good quality of uh, life. What happens is that some of us, at least, as we grow older, we tend to become a little judgmental and rigid. If I keep saying, in my days, this is what used to happen. Life was so much simpler. People were so much nicer. Let me tell you, it has not changed in the last 3,000 years. Human beings are exactly the same as they were, and they will continue to be. The only thing that has happened is that family size has become smaller. 2 generations back, people used to live in a huge joint family, probably in a locality where all their you know, relatives used to be staying in walking distances. They used to meet at the common temple or whatever it is. So communication was taken care of. Today, we have to build our conversation with people. And the more we do it beyond our immediate circle, the better it will be. If you are not doing it already, start doing it now, is my request. Don't hang on to your children or grandchildren. Don't hang on to your ex colleagues or neighbors. Look for newer people and make sure that you show some interest in them. Never start a conversation with, in 1992, when I was in such and such place, I was this. Nobody interested. You have to create that interest. And one of the first ways of creating interest is to take interest in the other person. That's what the great Dale Carnegie also said. You can spend 2 months trying to get somebody interested in you, you will not succeed. But you spend 2 days taking interest in that person, and he'll become your best friend. So we have to move with the times. As it is, technologies, screens have brought out a very, very different way of conversation.
I was
Doctor,
just thinking, Ali, that much earlier, as you rightly mentioned, so many children, some niece, nephew, somebody would be in your house. You will be taking care of their education and all. Today, we may have just one or possibly two kids, and they may be settled somewhere abroad or in a place which is not reachable. And that is the reason why so much more communication, interpersonal relationships with people apart from our family members, making it extended family. No?
So I would request you to start making a list of possible interesting people who are accessible to you in your neighborhood, in the bank, in the park, wherever. And of all ages, remember that. Do not restrict yourself to people of your age. Make friends with small children, make friends with young adults. The
Dr. Ali, how does one get over the hesitation of talking to people they don't know?
yes, very true, very true. It does happen. See, when I do not have a vested interest, I told you, I see a neighbor walking on, or I see somebody in the park, or I meet somebody in the bank, whatever it is. I have to tell myself that even if the person snubs me, even if the person says, I don't want to talk to you, I am not the loser. He is the loser. He's the one who's putting up those barriers. And to you, there are innumerable other people. If you just develop that habit of reaching out to more and more people of different ages and ask them, them are more than willing to tell you what's happening in their life and certain things which you may not know, you can learn from them. 2 years back, we got artificial intelligence. some of our seniors have not really been able to grasp what it all about. If you can catch hold of somebody who is into artificial intelligence and tell him, "Okay, Baba, I am totally ignorant. Please excuse me. Can you explain to me in layman's terms?" Be ready for the fact that the person will say, "No, you won't understand," or "I'm busy." Nothing happens. Move to the next person, move to the next person. You put your whole life ahead of you. See, you have taken a transition from a very busy life where you were working, you were doing things, and now you have all the time. So why not take advantage of that and start exploring and looking around for people that can be done. I'll give you an example. A friend of mine who retired from a very busy job. He lives in a small, well enclosed colony. So he wanted to do something for the development of the colony. So he said, "We'll plant some trees, we'll put those trash bins, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll put some benches and all." Whenever he was talking to anybody in the locality, they just refused. The old man had nothing better to do. He is retired. We are busy people. So we don't. Just started moving away from him. He was very disappointed. I had no vested interest. I wanted to do something good. Anyway, he decided, "I'll take a walk on my own and come back. I won't talk to anybody." One day he was walking and he saw a stray dog walking behind him. So he turned to the dog and said, "Nobody wants to talk to me. Why are you wagging your tail and coming behind me?" That one came and nuzzled his leg. "Oh, you're genuinely interested in me." He came up to his house and went away. Then next day when he went out, he was still there. So he told his wife, "If there's some leftover food, let's give it to him." Now the dog was hooked. Every day he would be waiting outside when it's time for him to go for a walk. And after a few days, he turned up with his girlfriend. Two of them were standing there wagging their tails. What a joy! It's such a simple incident. But what I'm trying to say is, if you look for, if of course you are an animal lover, you may not be, then look for something else. You may be a plant lover, you may be an art lover, you may be anything. Look for those things. Right?
And yeah, I was just thinking possibly we could also check, from where this hesitation in communication arises. Is it because I am a shy person, reserved person, or because I'm, maybe with a lot of age, experience, wisdom, learning, also comes maybe the thing that am I, as Ali just mentioned, a little judgmental. Oh, these youngsters, oh, this person is not exercising, oh, this person doesn't believe in God. So is it because we are a little opinionated, which is not allowing us to break the shackles of good communication?
The same way, there are so many people of your age, who are actually maybe their health not very good. They can't walk and come long distances. They can't go out somewhere for some activities. I had a friend in the colony. He put 4 benches in a square and he wrote on that "Elders Corner." And before you know it, the place was full. Not only the 4 benches were full, people were standing behind also. Simple task like that. He didn't have to pay money. He got it done by the municipal corporation, and that's it. I mean, I can go on and on and on listing, but what I'm very particular about is your attitude. Do you have that positive attitude by which you acknowledge that what I was good in once upon a time does not hold good now? You may be a brilliant engineer or accountant or lawyer or whatever you may have been, but things are going out. And unless you accept it, I was invited by the Chartered Accountants Association, and the president was telling me that my son is now studying chartered accountancy. I encouraged him because I thought I'm already a qualified chartered accountant and I can help him. He said, when I opened the books, I realized I don't know anything. I had to give up and tell him, go and take tuition from some. But if you accept
Yeah.
nothing,
But Dr. Ali, that's a very important point, the attitude. The attitude and conversations both are supposed to have a direct impact on your health. Can you
yes.
tell us more about it?
Oh, yes. It is said that people who are judgmental, who have that rigidity or who pass opinions about people, they are building walls. And the more walls that they build, the more they get isolated. It doesn't make a difference to anybody else. Life goes on. People move on with whatever they are doing. But it is up to me to adapt to the circumstances. And there are various ways depending on where you live, what you do, what are your interests. And one thing which I have seen, if you offer a little bit of help to somebody based on what you know or you have certain expertise in, you want help, I'll help you with this. It could even be a tuition to a school uh, student. If you're a lady, gather half a dozen younger ladies who are homemakers and start some activity with
In
them.
fact, Ali, at Banjara, we are a free counseling center, and we give training in counseling. So we do have some counselors who are, senior citizens, and wherever their area of specialty is, whether it has been software or hardware or finance. So whenever there are youngsters coming in, they are more than happy to mentor them. So I mean, ours is a free service, and they also like that kind of a style. So they go ahead, they offer free service, then the youngster comes, and there becomes a sense of purpose for them, because they are all very responsible people. They go about with all their chores right from morning, waking up on time, having their green tea, having a walk, everything, and taking care of their family chores. All is being done. Whereas now they move to something a little beyond, that they have some gift in them which they want to use towards the betterment of the community. So they do come very regularly, and they mentor so many different youngsters in their area of expertise, whichever that it
Yeah,
could
it
be.
could even be cooking. It could be, non-professional skills. I know how to make that rangoli. I will teach you anything. If I
Do
have
you
any
believe
that,
do you believe that half the problems of the world can be solved just through conversations, just by
yes,
talking to each other and
no doubt
listening
about
well?
it. No doubt about it. Man is a social animal. We thrive on relationships and communication. Communication and relationships are two of the 10 life skills which have been enunciated by the World Health Organization. So the more you put in effort to communicate with people, and to build relationships with people, it becomes that much easier. And you don't have to look, as I said, within your circle. I see somebody who's got a little grandchild. He gets very attached to it. And now that he is retired, he will hold it and take him to play school, sit there, bring him back, buy him an ice cream on the way. And the child is thrilled. Tata is doing this for me. How long does it last? The moment the child goes a few classes up, he is most embarrassed to have Tata walking with him to school. It's not because he doesn't like him, but that's how life is. So can we adapt to it and say, okay, I will not walk with to school now that he's older, but I'll sit down and ask him how the school was, what did you do today, whatever it is. So this way, if we take up, the what do you call it, uh, basic stance of building meaningful conversations wherever possible, whenever possible, and where it does not happen, let go. Doesn't matter. In fact, before you start a conversation with a new person, tell yourself, I'm going to make an attempt. If the person doesn't respond, it is bad luck. I'm going to move on to somebody else. If you start with that attitude, you'll never be disappointed. You'll never be judgmental about the person.
In fact, I was thinking that many a times, even if whenever you meet anyone or you plan to make a conversation with the person, if you go with again the attitude of finding out, like in Three Idiots, how Rancho says that आज कुछ नया सीखने को मिलेगा. So maybe I will learn something new from this 17-year-old boy, or maybe from this 24-year-old young adult, or from this newly married couple, or from this person who is just about to get into midlife crisis. So kind of you're identifying, and if you try to look at the positive in that person, that hey, let it be whatever it is, I am going to look at the positive and be for him, instead of trying to nitpick and find out what all could be the negatives, and for me to say I am one up over him. If that is not there to a larger extent, I think
Yeah.
we can have a happy countenance and happy environment
Correct.
around us.
Another thing which I suggest very strongly is travel. You get to meet new people, different cultures, different languages, whatever it is. But if you develop the habit of travel, now I know many senior citizens who say, unless my son and daughter takes me out, I cannot go by myself. That's not true, at least not now. There are many, many travel agencies who provide all the support. They make groups only of senior citizens. They take care of every need that is there. And they take you around and bring you back. And in that process, you get to meet 10, 20, 30 people of your age whom you had not met and with whom you have traveled. Travel is a very good learning by itself. And it need not be very expensive. I'm not saying you have to travel to America or Singapore or whatever. There are small places, both within India and outside India, where you can travel either alone or with a group. Or you form your own group. There's 3 people with you. You form that group and contact the agency. They'll take care of everything that is need to be taken
So,
care of.
Dr. Ali, you might meet a lot of people in your age group, and then you have regular chit chats with some of them. But then there are few conversations that will always stand out, and that you will remember.
Hmm?
What's the difference between a regular chit chat and one conversation that touches your heart?
Yes, yeah. I have seen that people who take the trouble of understanding others to start with, never start with talking about yourself.
There's sometimes a tendency for us, to say that, oh, you don't have the kind of difficulties we faced. We went walking, you have a two-wheeler. We didn't have a phone and you are having a phone. It's almost as if it's a punishment for them to have, moved forward in life, in the world, in technology. Instead, if we put them in a position of relevance, that, hey, whatever is happening in your life is so relevant for me, and I really want to know from you that how this whole thing happened, and if I didn't have it and you have it, fantastic, I want to know. So they automatically feel that, yeah, I think this person seems to be taking interest in me, in my life, and I am relevant for him. Possibly that could stand out many a times.
Can I give you one more tip?
Yeah,
Your
yes.
sense of humor decides how people will connect to you. And sense of humor is not just cracking funny jokes and all that. sense of humor is to be able to tell about yourself in a light-hearted manner, to be able to laugh at yourself. If you have sense of humor, people automatically connect to you. Young people sometimes complain that this elder person is very grouchy. He's not very open when I said something. He immediately snapped at me. Whenever that happens, understand that they are not going to connect with you. No meaningful conversation will take place, and you will continue to be isolated and lonely. With that, can we show you a few tips on what we have prepared a small slide on how you can nurture yourself with regard to other people around you, whoever it may be.
Yes, sure.
The first one is,
The slide went away. Can you project it once more?
no, she's putting it on.
Okay.
The first one is physical activity. Mind and body are very closely connected to each other. So, if you have stopped physical activity for any reason, you may have been sick or it was raining too much and that's why I couldn't go out or whatever it is. Please start whatever you can do. I know of people who are no longer confident to go out for a walk. They walk within their compound and beautifully they go up to the gate and somebody passing by, they say hello to him, and that person gets interested in him. So physical activity also connects you back to your mind. Never give up.
In fact, if you do it in installments, you end up meeting more people.
Oh,
You will have a morning walk and then you have a afternoon short walk, and in the evening, if you have a short walk, the chances that
even if you can order food, take the trouble of going to that shopkeeper, buying and coming back. One is you'll make friends with the shopkeeper. Secondly, you'll make friends with people around. Thirdly, when you tell them where you got good stuff, they will get interested in you. Right?
comes mindfulness and gratitude. I think the words are absolutely very clear. Mindfulness, being a little more alert about what you're doing, what you're eating, whom you are watching, how you mindfulness even about how you are speaking to people, and that leads to appropriate communication. That leads to you thinking, oh, am I being a little grouchy? Am I being a little rude? If you are even mindful of our own words, I think that can lead to better relationships with the people, and also give us so much of a gratitude in our life for things for which we have worked,
Yes.
and for which we have not worked also.
Correct.
So one question here.
Yes.
In a family setup, at times there are difficult relationships. Not all relationships have easy to talk or easy to communicate with. How do we use mindfulness and gratitude to improve that relationship and have better connections?
You see, the simplest definition of mindfulness is living in the present. So, with your family, whatever you are discussing, don't bring up the past, don't talk about the future. Don't say, last month I had asked you to do this, you didn't do, or I'm expecting that you pay that bill within 30 days. Talk about today, be in the present. People will appreciate you for it. Once you acknowledge that I am only interested in the present. The second, as you notice, there is gratitude. There are so many things by the time we hit 70, 80 years of age. There are so many things which have been great blessings to us. Do we express that to people? Do we just catch hold of somebody and tell him that I am very thankful You may have had a doctor who 6 months back treated you. Can you just walk across and tell him, Doctor, I'm not come for treatment. I just came to thank you because you did this for me. I'm just giving an example. There is so much gratitude, and the more you, and this is equally important. What you said about family members. Do we express gratitude to our family members? Very rarely. We take them for granted. I want to go to the temple. I tell my son, come and take me. He says, no, I have to go to the office. No, no, it'll take you 10 minutes. Come quickly. He obliges. That evening or on Sunday, do I express my gratitude? You were in a hurry to go out, but you went out of the way and you took me to the temple. I really appreciate that gesture. I was already telling you about sense of humor. Take it easy. Don't take yourself too seriously. Don't keep talking about the war between Ukraine and Russia and something. Wars will go on for the next 100, 200 years. You cannot do anything about it. Laugh over something. Look at things from a light-hearted manner. With your youngsters, children, grandchildren, come out with simple, funny anecdotes which you can talk to the person. There was a gentleman who told his doctor, Doctor, I think my wife has become deaf, but she is refusing to come to you for examination. Doctor said, okay, when she's in the kitchen and her back is to you, stand 30 feet away and ask her, what are you cooking? If she has not heard you, take 10 steps, come to 20 feet distance, again ask the same question. If she has still not heard you, come to 10 feet and ask her. You will know that her hearing is poor. He did that. 30 feet, she didn't reply. 20 feet, she didn't reply. 10 feet when she asked, she said, three times I told you I'm cooking palak paneer. Why are you asking the same question again and again? Very simple things, but this is what I meant by sense of.
Ali, in fact, I know of this very elderly lady. I think she's all of 86 or something. So her grandson comes and, he tells, Party, what's up? And Party is like, she doesn't know what it means. And then she tells him, you tell me, what's up? And then it becomes like a nice, hearty laugh. And then he is so happy that Party is ready to reply back in that same thing. So whenever she sees him, she says, yes, Kanna, what's up? And then he says, no, it is not what's up, Party. She says, oh, I will learn it someday from you. And there is like a nice moment. And everybody is like happy about the way she wants to learn new things.
Yeah.
Two things which can really impair good communication is jealousy and anger or irritability. Please be aware when you lose your temper. Please be aware when you are feeling jealous. Generally, what we do is, I'm not angry. He behaved so badly. That's why I shouted at him. Whatever may be his behavior, acknowledge that I am angry. I shouted. Justification, see later. Then you will learn how to deal with a similar situation in future. These are very important things which we don't even realize as we grow older, because most of the youngsters give respect to us. No? So when we are irritable, when we are angry, they don't point it out to us. I've already mentioned to you, relationships are the most important parameter of well-being, happiness in life. And I'm talking about close, the important relationships. You may be very popular in a club or something else, but if you are near and dear, they don't have good relationship with you. Please introspect. that you have to bring the change. And if you don't do it, as I told you, loneliness is the biggest epidemic which is already hitting mankind, and it is hitting elders more than the youngsters.
Dr. Ali, you in a blog wrote very beautifully that if we can be a mirror to somebody, that will
Yeah,
be the biggest gift.
yeah,
Can you tell us about that, sir?
yeah,
Yes. So basically, what we do at Banjara is a lot of free counseling. So as a counselor, what do I do? Why am I different as a counselor than maybe any other person? That's because in a very methodical manner, we have learned the skills of counseling. And what we basically do is that I don't judge the person who's sitting with me, opposite to me, whether whatever be at the stages of life, ages of life, whatever be the strata of the society, there is no judgment about that person. And what we do is that our focus is not on issues or problems or the situation that he is in, but on the emotion that that person is going through,
right.
and the threshold at which he is going
Correct,
through.
correct, correct, correct.
So what happens is that when we do that, and like what does the mirror do, Vibha? The mirror does not tell you that your hairdo is not okay, or your shirt is a little off. It doesn't tell you anything. What it tells you is that look, this is what I'm showing you. Check what you can infer and whether you want to work on it, you don't want to work on it. So that is what we also do with in our counseling process. This helps the other person to feel that, look, this person is not advising me, is not giving me unnecessary suggestions, but listens to me, has a positive regard for whatever I'm sharing. And now it is up to me to decide what do I want to do with the situation. So that we call as mirroring, where we mirror the emotions of the person.
And if you're lucky to have one such person in your life who's also accessible to you, you don't really have to go to a professional psychotherapist or counselor. If you're lucky, you have one relative, one neighbor who listens unconditionally, does not pass judgment, maintains your confidentiality, does not give you unnecessary advice, and is available to you, you're very lucky. I think you should nurture such friends, whoever they may be. They will be a big asset to you in the years to come. Then we come to the rat race. Once you are through with all your promotions and this and that, supposedly you're supposed to be away from rat race, right? But some people don't do that. Their rat race starts with, I want my grandson to go only to IIT. I want to build a house bigger than my brother's house. That also is rat race. And I always tell people that even if you win the rat race, you're still a rat. Do you want to? Particularly after you have achieved everything, you had a wonderful time. You had ups and downs. You had setbacks, failures, successes. Now is the time to relax and look at the bigger picture, isn't it? And way to do that is to make technology your slave. Do not allow technology to control you. Children and youngsters are already doing it. At least I think we owe it to yourself. If children see, Tata or Aji or whatever, it is perpetually stuck to the mobile or whatever it is, we are setting a very wrong. Otherwise, they don't want to listen to them. Children are very poor at listening to their elders, but they are very good at mimicking them. So one very important thing I would tell you is check how good a role model are you to the younger generation. And this is not just your family or what sort of your image are you projecting to the younger generation around you. Ask them. It's not difficult. Tell them what you know about me. What do you think about it? Do you think this was okay? That was not okay. There was this uh, retired teacher who asked a neighbor boy. He said, I've had 35 years of very satisfied work. I retired as a teacher. That boy started laughing at him. What, uncle? What, how much salary you got? What did you achieve by that? He didn't counter him. He kept quiet. At one point, he said, tomorrow, when you're free, can you set aside 15 minutes for me? I want to talk to you. And then he started explaining the significance of a teacher, not only the one who teaches you from textbooks, but gurus, mentors, all these things. And then he told him, why don't you acquire a mentor other than your classroom teachers? There's so much to learn from them. The first thing this boy did, believe it or not, said, I want you to be my first mentor. The same fellow who was laughing at him because he was just a school teacher. So that is, in general, what we are talking about.
Beautiful, sir. Beautiful. So we have you for 10 more minutes. I would open the floor for the audience in
Yes.
case they have any questions to ask you. In case anyone wants to ask Dr. anything, please unmute yourself and you can ask. We'll go one question at a time, please. Okay. I can ask. I have so many questions, Dr. Ali. I can go ahead and ask in case people don't have questions. Um, Dr. Lee, I'm coming back to loneliness, and you mentioned that when you started the session today, that it is an epidemic. Right? What can one do in case we don't have relationships around us, Dr.
Yeah.
Ali? What can we do to manage loneliness?
Yeah.
If we are, let's say, shy, it takes us some time to talk to other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some advice on how to go about it.
Correct. Yeah. See, loneliness is not the same as aloneness or solitude. I know so many seniors who prefer to have that privacy. They want to live alone or with their partner. They don't want anybody full time with them, but they don't feel lonely. I also know many people who got a house full of 5 or 10 people and they say they are lonely. So, loneliness is a state of mind. And whether you are a shy person or not, you can build conversations. We have volunteers, for example, who go to an orphanage or to a government school once a week for 2 hours. And you should see the way those children get excited when this person turns up. Makes you feel so wanted and loved. So you have to find out, as I told you, you're an animal lover, you're an art lover, you love children, you want to do social work, that type of thing. We also have more than 200 volunteers spread over 10 hospitals. Just go to the hospital minimum once a week for 3 hours, sit on a counter which says, may I help you? An illiterate person who cannot fill up the form, we do it for them. Somebody has got an eye problem, he doesn't know, he's never heard of ophthalmology. So you just tell him, go straight, take the second left turn. There's door number 15, you go there. Like that, small things, depending on your area of interest. In a city like Bangalore, particularly, I would like to say, there is no question of a person not finding meaningful activity to do.
Ali, there's another question that for elders, it is often seen that the connections with others are slowly lost while they need it most of the time. So my question is that what the elders do from their side to maintain and keep these connections.
Ah, if you have noticed, Anuma Gupta said they need it most at this time. If you don't mind, I disagree. The moment you need, you are like an emotional beggar. You're telling people, I am lonely, I have nobody to talk to, please come and talk to me. Nobody comes. You have to show them that I am worth talking to. Pick out your skills, your abilities, or whatever it is, and slowly spread their word around. There was a wonderful Marathi movie called Pravas. This gentleman recently retired, and one day he sees that a person is had an accident, and the ambulance is just not coming. It took a very long time. He had a car. He converted that car into an ambulance, and he gave out pamphlets nearest in his locality because he can't go far distance. He said, in this locality, anybody needs ambulance facility, call up this num. What a wonderful thing to do. I mean, you use your imagination. There is so much that can be done.
In fact, Ali, I was just also thinking that many times we say, that if the need is mine, then the effort also has to be mine.
Correct.
Because there is enough and enough available, but then we have to see how well, we envelop it all.
True.
Beautiful, beautifully said. Yeah. Anyone else in the audience has any question? Okay.
No one else.
So I'm going to ask one more question from my end. So you gave a lot of tips to the seniors in the room. So any tips for us? How do we,
Yes.
people my age, have
Yes.
better connections?
Yeah. Number one, be patient. Your grandfather does not, emote or talk the way you would be able to do. You have a young mind which moves very fast. Your grandmother cannot do that. So if you are asking a question and they are thinking over, they are waiting for an answer, they are trying to say something. If you show your impatience, they get very badly uh, put off. The other is there will always be something among your eldest people who is worth learning from them. Everybody has certain experiences which you can learn uh, from. Pick out those. If he is just rambling about some, mundane things, bring him again to, the topic. I want to know this particular thing about you. How did you manage that? Those days when there were no mobiles and this, and you were posted away. How did you communicate with your wife? How was life that way that only once in 2 months you could come back and meet and you could not? How did you feel? Talk about feelings.
And if for any reason you don't have, if grandparents around, adopt them in your locality, in your area, so that you can learn so much from their experiences, from their family,
Yeah.
and so much for us to learn.
See, when there's
Yeah.
no defined relationship, it is not necessary for you to be nice to them. And yet you are being nice to them, they will definitely appreciate.
In fact, sir, ma'am, I'm thoroughly blessed to have my grandparents with me. My grandfather is 93, my grandmom is 86. And we started the company Sukoon Unlimited because we love our grandparents and parents so much
Yeah.
that we were greedy for more love.
Yes.
And I think that's such a mature and a fantastic, initiative that you have taken. Kudos to you on that.
Thank you. But, thank you so much
If
for.
you asked, how did you get to this interesting profession of counseling? The answer is simple. I did. It's not a profession for me. It's a passion. It's something which I like to do. Somebody likes to play tennis. Somebody likes to listen to music. Somebody else. So to me, counseling, reaching out to different types of people, slowly over, it didn't happen overnight, but slowly it built up. And when I started enjoying it, I knew that I don't have to look beyond. And like I told you about our volunteers who are mostly senior citizens and other people, they find their life has been enriched because they are doing voluntary work in hospitals and elsewhere.
In fact, they are far more younger in their thinking,
Yeah.
contemporary, and so well enveloping and accepting of different situations that it's not that anything comes out as a surprise or a shock or something. They are able to envelop the different situations in life with so much of grace and so much to learn from that.
We have a counselor who was married for 53 years and he was doing regular volunteering in a hospital. Suddenly, without warning, his wife passed away. He completed the cremation. Next day, he took the ashes to this Sangam and completed the whole thing. The day after that, at 9 o'clock in the morning, he was sitting on the counter. And people asked him, "What are you doing here?" He said, "What should I do sitting at home?"
In fact, he told that there are two very good travelers on this journey. एक का station आ गया, she had to get off. But I can't get off because that is not my stop. I need to move forward. So that's why I'm here with my purpose in life that we were speaking a while ago.
Yeah.
That he is endowed with the gift of social work and he gives it to the world.
And how does one go about finding purpose?
Finding
Purpose.
Yes.
explore. You don't get it just like that. How you explored your career plans, for example. You started thinking, should I take science, commerce, arts? If I take arts, should I be this? Should I do social work or should I be mass communication? Once I got into that, then what did I do? So you drift into that.
So it's by trial and error. So you have to go out, put yourself out there, and try new things.
Then no other way.
Lovely, lovely. Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Ali.
Thank
Thank you so
you
much
and
for
bye
being here.
bye.
Take care. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.